ʻbæþ is a city in the ceremonial county of Somerset, southwest England, known for its Roman-built baths. In 2011, the population was 88,859. ʻbæþ is in the valley of the River Avon, 97 miles west of London and 11 miles southeast of Bristol. The city became a World Heritage Site in 1987. The city became a spa with the Latin name Aquae Sulis c. AD 60 when the Romans built baths and a temple in the valley of the River Avon, although hot springs were known even before then. ʻbæþ Abbey was founded in the 7th century and became a religious centre. The building was rebuilt in the 12th and 16th centuries. In the 17th century, claims were made for the curative properties of water from the springs, and ʻbæþ became popular as a spa town in the Georgian era. Georgian architecture, crafted from ʻbæþ stone, includes the Royal Crescent, circus, pump room and assembly rooms where ʻbæþ presided over the city's social life from 1705 until his death in 1761. Many of the streets and squares were laid out by John Wood the Elder, and in the 18th century the city became fashionable and the population grew. Jane Austen lived in ʻbæþ in the early 19th century. Further building was undertaken in the 19th century and following the ʻbæþ Blitz in World War II. The city has software, publishing and service-oriented industries. Theatres, museums, and other cultural and sporting venues have helped to make it a major centre for tourism with more than 1 million staying visitors and 3.8 million day visitors to the city each year. There are several museums including the Museum of ʻbæþ Architecture, Victoria Art Gallery, Museum of East Asian Art, and the Holborn Museum. The city has 2 universities: the University of ʻbæþ and ʻbæþ Spa University, with ʻbæþ College providing further education. Sporting clubs include ʻbæþ Rugby and ʻbæþ City FC, while Team ʻbæþ is the umbrella name for all of the University of ʻbæþ sports teams. ʻbæþ became part of the County of Avon in 1974, and, following Avon's abolition in 1996, has been the principal centre of ʻbæþ and northeast Somerset. History. Iron Age and Roman hills in the locality such as Barthampton Down saw human activity from the Mesolithic period. Several Bronze Age round barrows were opened by John Skinner in the 18th century. Barthampton Camp may have been an Iron Age hill fort or stock enclosure. A long barrow site believed to be from the Beaker people was flattened to make way for A.F. Charmy Down. Archaeological evidence shows that the site of the Roman bath's main spring may have been treated as a shrine by the Britons, and was dedicated to the goddess Sulis, whom the Romans identified with Minerva. The name Sulis continued to be used after the Roman invasion, appearing in the town's Roman name of Aquae Sulis. Messages to her scratched onto metal, known as curse tablets, have been recovered from the sacred spring by archaeologists. The tablets were written in Latin, and cursed people whom the writers felt had wronged them. For example, if a citizen had his clothes stolen at the baths, he might write a curse, naming the suspects, on a tablet to be read by the goddess. A temple was constructed in 6070 AD, and a bathing complex was built up over the next 300 years. Engineers drove oak piles into the mud to provide a stable foundation, and surrounded the spring with an irregular stone chamber lined with lead. In the 2nd century, the spring was enclosed within a wooden barrel-vaulted structure that housed the caldarium, tepidarium, and frigidarium. The town was later given defensive walls, probably in the 3rd century. After the failure of Roman authority in the first decade of the 5th century, the baths fell into disrepair and were eventually lost as a result of silting. In March 2012, a hoard of 30,000 silver Roman coins, one of the largest discovered in Britain, was unearthed in an archaeological dig. The coins, believed to date from the 3rd century, were found about 450 feet from the Roman baths. Post-Roman and medieval ʻbæþ may have been the site of the Battle of Caerfaddon, in which King Arthur is said to have defeated the Anglo-Saxons. The town was captured by the West Saxons in 577 after the Battle of Diorum. The Anglo-Saxon poem The Ruin may describe the appearance of the Roman site about this time. A monastery was founded at an early date, reputedly by Saint David, although more probably in 675 by Osric, king of the Hwicc, perhaps using the walled area as its precinct. Nennius, a 9th-century historian, mentions a hot lake in the land of the Hwicc along the River Severn, and adds, it is surrounded by a wall, made of brick and stone, and men may go there to bathe at any time, and every man can have the kind of bath he likes. If he wants, it will be a cold bath, and if he wants a hot bath, it will be hot. Bede described hot baths in the geographical introduction to the ecclesiastical history in terms very similar to those of Nennius. King Offa of Mercia gained control of the monastery in 781 and rebuilt the church, which was dedicated to Saint Peter. By the 9th century the old Roman street pattern was lost and Bath was a royal possession. King Alfred laid out the town afresh, leaving its southeastern quadrant as the abbey precinct. In the Burgle Heidage, Bath is recorded as a burh and is described as having walls of 1,375 yards and was allocated 1,000 men for defence. During the reign of Edward the Elder, coins were minted in Bath based on a design from the Winchester Mint, but with bad on the obverse relating to the Anglo-Saxon name for the town. ʻbæþ, ʻbæþ or ʻbæþ, meaning at the baths, and this was the source of the present name. Edgar of England was crowned King of England in Bath Abbey in 973. William Rufus granted the city to a royal physician, John of Tours, who became Bishop of Wells and Abbot of Bath. Following the sacking of the city during the rebellion of 1088, it was papal policy for bishops to move to more urban seats, and John of Tours translated his own from Wells to Bath. The bishop planned and began a much larger church as his cathedral, to which was attached a priory, with the bishop's palace beside it. New baths were built around the Three Springs. Later bishops returned the episcopal seat to Wells while retaining the name Bath in the title, Bishop of Bath and Wells. St. John's Hospital was founded around 1180 by Bishop Reginald Fitzjocelyn and is among the oldest almshouses in England. The Hospital of the Baths was built beside the hot springs of the Cross Bath for their health-giving properties and to provide shelter for the poor and infirm. Administrative systems fell within the hundreds. The Bath Hundred had various names including the Hundred of Libury. The Bath Foreign Hundred or Foreign Succum covered the area outside the city and was later combined into the Bath Forum Hundred. Wealthy merchants had no status within the hundred courts and formed guilds to gain influence. They built the first guild hall probably in the 13th century. Around 1200 the first mayor was appointed. Early modern. By the 15th century, Bath's Abbey Church was badly dilapidated and Oliver King, Bishop of Bath and Wells, decided to rebuild it on a smaller scale in 1500. The new church was completed just a few years before Bath Priory was dissolved in 1539 by Henry VIII. The Abbey Church became derelict before being restored as the city's parish church in the Elizabethan era, when the city experienced a revival as a spa. The baths were improved and the city began to attract the aristocracy. A royal charter granted by Queen Elizabeth I in 1590 confirmed city status. During the English Civil War, the city was garrisoned for Charles I. It became a significant post for the new model army under William Waller. Bath was retaken by Royalists following the Battle of Lansdowne Fort on the northern outskirts of the city on 5 July 1643. Thomas Guydot, a student of chemistry and medicine at Wadham College, Oxford, set up a practice in the city in 1668. He was interested in the curative properties of the waters, and he wrote a discourse of ʻbæþ and the hot waters there. Also, some inquiries into the nature of the water in 1676. It brought the health-giving properties of the hot mineral waters to the attention of the country, and the aristocracy arrived to partake in them. Several areas of the city were developed in the Stuart period, and more building took place during Georgian times in response to the increasing number of visitors who required accommodation. Architects John Wood the Elder and his son laid out the new quarters in streets and squares, the identical facades of which gave an impression of palatial scale and classical decorum. Much of the creamy gold Bath stone, a type of limestone used for construction in the city, was obtained from the Combe Down and Barthampton Down mines owned by Ralph Allen. Allen, to advertise the quality of his quarried limestone, commissioned the elder John Wood to build a country house on his Prior Park estate between the city and the mines. Allen was responsible for improving and expanding the postal service in Western England, for which he held the contract for more than 40 years. Although not fond of politics, Allen was a civic-minded man, a member of Bath Corporation for many years. He was elected mayor for a single term in 1742. In the early 18th century, Bath acquired its first purpose-built theatre, the old Orchard Street Theatre. It was rebuilt as the Theatre Royal, along with the Grand Pump Room attached to the Roman baths and assembly rooms. Master of Ceremonies Bonash, who presided over the city's social life from 1705 until his death in 1761, drew up a code of behavior for public entertainments. Late modern, the population of the city was 40,020 at the 1801 census, making it one of the largest cities in Britain. William Thomas Beckford bought a house in Lansdowne Crescent in 1822, and subsequently two adjacent houses to form his residence. Having acquired all the land between his home and the top of Lansdowne Hill, he created a garden more than 1/2 mile in length and built Beckford's Tower at the top. Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia spent the 4 years in exile, from 1936 to 1940, at Fairfield House in Bath. During World War II, between the evening of the 25th of April and the early morning of the 27th of April 1942, Bath suffered 3 air raids in reprisal for RAF raids on the German cities of Lübeck and Rostock, part of the Luftwaffe campaign popularly known as the Baedeker Blitz. During the Bath Blitz, more than 400 people were killed, and more than 19,000 buildings damaged or destroyed. Houses in the Royal Crescent, Circus and Paragon were burnt out along with the assembly rooms. A 500-kilogram high explosive bomb landed on the east side of Queen Square, resulting in houses on the south side being damaged and the Francis Hotel losing 24 meters of its frontage. The buildings have all been restored, although there are still signs of the bombing. A post-war review of inadequate housing led to the clearance and redevelopment of areas of the city in a post-war style, often at variance with the local George End style. In the 1950s, the nearby villages of Combe Down, Twerton and Weston were incorporated into the city to enable the development of housing, much of it council housing. In the 1970s and 1980s, it was recognized that conservation of historic buildings was inadequate, leading to more care and reuse of buildings and open spaces. In 1987, the city was selected by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, recognizing its international cultural significance. Since 2000, major developments have included the Therme Bath Spa, Southgate Shopping Centre and the residential Western Riverside project. Government. Historical development. Bath had long been an ancient borough, having that status since 878 when it became a royal borough of Alfred the Great, and was reformed into a municipal borough in 1835. It has formed part of the county of Somerset since 878, when ceded to Wessex, having previously been in Mercia. However, Bath was made a county borough in 1889, independent of the newly created administrative county and Somerset County Council. Bath became part of Avon when the non-metropolitan county was created in 1974, resulting in its abolition as a county borough and instead becoming a non-metropolitan district with borough status. With the abolition of Avon in 1996, the non-metropolitan district and borough were abolished too, and ʻbæþ has since been part of the unitary authority district of Bath and North East Somerset. ʻbæþ was returned to the ceremonial county of Somerset in 1996, though as ʻbæþ is a unitary authority, it is not part of the area covered by Somerset County Council Charter Trustees because ʻbæþ is unparished. There is no longer a city council, ʻbæþ City Council having ended in 1996 with the abolition of the district of Bath. The city of Bath's ceremonial functions, including its formal status as a city, its twinning arrangements, the mayoralty of Bath, which can be traced back to 1230, and control of the city's coat of arms, are maintained by the charter trustees of the city of Bath. The council is elected by the electoral wards that cover Bath are the trustees, and they elect one of their number as mayor. Following a successful petition, there is to be a referendum held in 2016 proposing a directly elected mayor for the Bath and North East Somerset district. This would not affect the position of the mayor of Bath, which is ceremonial. The coat of arms includes 2 silver strips representing the River Avon and the hot springs. The sword of St. Paul is a link to Bath Abbey. The supporters, a lion and a bear, stand on a bed of acorns, a link to Bladude, the subject of the legend of Bath. The knight's helmet indicates a municipality and the crown is that of King Edgar. Bath City Forum. Bath and North East Somerset Council has established the Bath City Forum, comprising 12 nominated ʻbæþ councillors representing wards in Bath, 1 cabinet member of ʻbæþ council, and up to 13 co-opted members drawn from the communities of the city. The first meeting of the Forum was held on 13 October 2015, at the Guildhall, where the first chair and vice-chair were elected. Parliamentary elections. Bath is one of the oldest extant parliamentary constituencies in the United Kingdom, being in continuous existence since the Model Parliament of 1295. Before the Reform Act 1832, Bath elected 2 members to the unreformed House of Commons, as an ancient parliamentary borough. From 1832 until 1918 it elected 2 MPs and then was reduced to 1. Historically the constituency covered only the city of Bath, however it was enlarged into some outlying areas between 1997 and 2010. The constituency, since 2010, once again covers exactly the city of Bath, and is currently represented by Conservative Ben Howlett, who replaced the retiring Liberal Democrat Don Foster at the 2015 general election. Foster's election was a notable result of the 1992 general election, as Chris Patten, the previous member, played a major part, as chairman of the Conservative Party, in re-electing the government of John Major, but failed to defend his marginal seat. Electoral wards. The 16 electoral wards of the Bath and North East Somerset Unitary Authority within Bath are Abbey, Bathwick, Combe Down, Kingsmead, Lambridge, Lansdowne, Lincoln, Newbridge, Odd Down, Oldfield, South Down, Twerton, Walcott, Westmoreland, Weston and Widcombe. Geography. Physical geography. Bath is in the Avon Valley near the southern edge of the Cotswolds, a range of limestone hills designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty. The hills that surround and make up the city have a maximum altitude of 781 feet on the Lansdowne Plateau. Bath has an area of 11 square miles. The floodplain of the Avon, on which the city centre is built, has an altitude of about 59 feet above sea level. The river, once an unnavigable series of braided streams broken up by swamps and ponds, has been managed by weirs into a single channel. Periodic flooding, which shortened the life of many buildings in the lowest part of the city, was normal until major flood control works were completed in the 1970s. Kensington Meadows is an area of mixed woodland and open meadow next to the river which has been designated as a local nature reserve. Water bubbling up from the ground as geothermal springs originates as rain on the Mendip Hills. The rain percolates through limestone aquifers to a depth of between 9,000 to 14,000 feet, where geothermal energy raises the water's temperature to between 64 and 96 degrees Celsius. Under pressure, the heated water rises to the surface along fissures and faults in the limestone. Hot water at a temperature of 46 degrees Celsius rises here at the rate of 1,170,000 liters daily, from a geological fault. In 1983, a new spa water borehole was sunk, providing a clean and safe supply for drinking in the pump room. There is no universal definition to distinguish a hot spring from a geothermal spring, although, by several definitions, the Bath springs can be considered the only hot springs in the UK. 3 of the springs feed the thermal baths. Climate. Along with the rest of southwest England, Bath has a temperate climate which is generally wetter and milder than the rest of the country. The annual mean temperature is approximately 10 degrees Celsius. Seasonal temperature variation is less extreme than most of the United Kingdom because of the adjacent sea temperatures. The summer months are July and August are the warmest, with mean daily maxima of approximately 21 degrees Celsius. In winter, mean minimum temperatures of 1 or 2 degrees Celsius are common. In the summer, the Azores high pressure affects the southwest of England, bringing fair weather. However, convective clouds sometimes forms inland, reducing the number of hours of sunshine. Annual sunshine rates are slightly less than the regional average of 1,600 hours. In December 1998, there were 20 days without sun recorded at Yeovilton. Most of the rainfall in the southwest is caused by Atlantic depressions or by convection. Most of the rainfall in autumn and winter is caused by the Atlantic depressions, which is when they are most active. In summer, a large proportion of the rainfall is caused by sun heating the ground, leading to convection and to showers and thunderstorms. Average rainfall is around 700 millimeters. About 8 to 15 days of snowfall is typical. November to March have the highest mean wind speeds, and June to August have the lightest winds. The predominant wind direction is from the southwest.